Hello, my name is Joshua Rudo and I will be going over how my game works in detail for you today. So let's get started. First of all, you can see the play, load, settings and quit buttons. These are buttons which will then be linked to either methods or just a straight up definition, which will allow you to do different things such as play the game, load a save, go to the settings menu in which you can change the settings or quit the game. Right, let's hop into the video. So we click play, we load straight into the game, and straight off the bat you will have seen a small ammo box here, of which we will collect straight off the bat, as well as some health, before getting straight into fighting. So the pickups there that you can see also here, they will be added to the inventory, of which is accessed using the tab button, which will be shown throughout the video. That is done using a list of information stored on a separate canvas. This information can then be accessed and used in the game on the UI, such as the ammo in the bottom right and the health in the bottom left. As you'll see, the player is fighting the enemies, and currently they're just patrolling and they are inactive, but then like this one here becomes yellow. When they become yellow from either shooting or seeing the enemy, they will move towards the last known location of the enemy. Now once they see the enemy, like there, you will have seen it for a split second, they'll become red. Now when they're red, if we can get it back up again, just before he dies he turns red, and when he turns red that means he's ready, he's close enough to start shooting at the enemy. However, he died, well, shooting at the player, but he died very quickly, so we didn't get around to seeing that. Same again. A little bit of a problem with the ability to look down, which meant that I had to jump down to be able to kill the enemy. Grabbing some more pickups because they're everywhere, and like you seen then, when the enemy is red, it means they're going to do damage to the player. Here we go. So this is the inventory system. So what you'll see here is I've selected the ammo and I'm going to click use, which will then add it to my total ammo count, and then I add the health, so my health's back to full and my ammo is plentiful. Very quickly just skipped over the keycard here, so we grab the keycard. What that does is it levels up your key level. So currently we're on level 1, so the key level is level 1, so we have access to level 1. But it levels up the key, so when I collected it, it leveled my key up to level 2, which then allows me to access level 2. So when I walk over to this gate, it's checking, does the player have key level 2? He does, so it allows me through. Now we're on level 2. Once again, picking up ammo, grabbing everything, moving along. So we'll talk about the enemy UI whilst, not the enemy UI, well, the enemy states. So I created a set of states to run the enemies on, and there's 5 of them. So the first one is idle, so when they spawn in they will be idle. Now when they're idle they will check for patrol routes, so patrol routes being a certain number of points that they have access to. Not all enemies have it, but the ones on the ground do. So the ones on the ground will start patrolling these patrol routes, whilst the ones up on buildings will just stand there watching over everything. Now once they see the player, they go from patrol to attacking or searching. So it depends on how they interact with the player. So for example, these enemies here have gone straight to attacking because they saw the player, whilst some of them I shoot first, which means that they go to searching for the player, and once they see them, they then attack the player. The 5th state is the dead player. So when the player dies, I built this state in so that the enemies wouldn't start sporadically moving. So they just stand and wait upon death. Now, like I was talking about before, the enemies have UI placed above their heads, so they have the health bar and the indicator of whether they've seen or are following player's last known location. So the health bar is obviously when I do damage, like this, the health bar goes down, and the indicator is whether or not they can attack, see, or are ignoring the player. So this guy is completely ignoring the player, there's nothing above his head. This guy is attacking the player because of the red, and the yellow would be looking for the player. Now these UIs, they, as you can tell, you can see they're a little angled. They're angled towards the player or the camera, they're angled towards the camera, which allows me to always see them as they are, making it very easy for me to use the UI, because I can always see who has what amount of health all the time. Next thing we're going to quickly talk about is the way the player follows, or the way the camera follows the player. So the camera is always following the player actively, as you can see. However, it's not always doing exactly what the player is doing. So whilst not aimed in, the player can rotate even facing towards the camera, as you can see here, allowing for free range of movement. However, when I aim, the camera is always facing the same way as the player, or the player is always facing the same way as the camera. So as I move the camera, the player moves with me, whilst when I am not aimed, the player is free to move whatever direction the movement control has set. Now there's a couple more movement controls. You can see one just there, which is the dash, so he dashes to move forward quickly. As you can see on the left, you can see the stamina moving up. The stamina is threefold and allows you to use it for dashing in different directions. Whichever direction you're currently moving, it will dash, and it allows you to double jump, so when you jump and then jump again, it will allow you to go higher. And that's how the stamina and sort of a jetpack type system works. The crouch, which will be shown in a minute here, is a simple system of just lowering the player's height, which allows it to be more difficult for the enemy players to locate them, especially when behind cover. So we'll see if we can get the crouch to come up. Here we go. So you'll see the player crouch. Now he's doing it here just to stay out of visibility whilst he's going through the menu, healing up and getting more ammo and such. And now he's going to start fighting again whilst in the standing position. Using all this stamina to try and get away from the enemies. Gonna have to drop down on this one. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the data persistence. I said a little bit about it before, but basically what it is in the menu, the pause menu, there is an option for save, which I'll show you in a minute. And that option basically saves your current game data, which then allows you to, so it'll be shown in a second. So there's the crouch, aim, menu, and then here. So this is the pause menu, which I forgot to show through the video. Basically you go to the resume as you usually would, settings, and then the save button. So when you click the save button, it will store the information currently on the desktop, but it will be stored in the game file. And then when you quit, you will then be able to click the load button, which will allow you to take that saved data and load up your current save. However, you can also click play, and if you click play and then save, you will override that data until there is a system in which we can have multiple saves. And that's the data persistence sphere. Last few things to talk about, let's take a look. Is there anything? Yeah, so there was the switch weapon, which I forgot to mention before, which is E to switch weapons. It's the sniper rifle, which has less ammo, but does more damage. So if you're trying to conserve ammo, you want to use the sniper rifle, whilst if you're not and you just want to shoot, then you can use the SMG. So this is me using the quit, save, and then the quit, which would take you completely out of the game, but I ended the video there because I didn't want to show that. But yeah, so hope that explained everything, and I'll end the video here.